Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Steven on Bant versus Zemin on Lands. And Lands is going to be all about getting a Dark Depths, become a 2020, thanks to the Thespian stage. Force of Will stopping exploration, going to look to slow down. March toward the necessary lands that, when the deck is named lands, probably don't want them being able to play more than one land per turn. Verdant Catacombs. Fetches and duels, a big part of this mana base. There are a bunch of legacy decks that don't run fetches and duels, but tough to do better than them. We have a Sylvan Library, an end of turn crop rotation. Sylvan, an incredibly strong draw engine, especially when you have shuffle effects. Urza's Saga being found here. Very interesting. Now, Sylvan Library, the way that the card actually works, it is a trigger, so Pithing Needle won't stop it. I don't know if that's the game plan. There are some wordings of the card that make it look like an activated ability. That is not the case. It is a trigger. We have Thespian Stage. Oh. Interesting. This could get interesting with copying Urza's Saga. Brainstorm. Cards that we've already seen with Sylvan. Not as exciting. Shuffle's going to be at a real premium here for Bant, but it does have a bunch of ways of doing that. Of course, the fetch lands. Simplest. And making a construct. Saga going away. Going to be able to grab a 1 or 0 casting cost artifact. Exactly 1 colorless or 0 colorless. Saga's so good. Grabbing a Mox Diamond. Saga very, very good in this deck. Fetching. Sylvan Library. Quite the value engine. You don't really care about your life total here, as it's going to be coming off in a chunk of like 20 at a time. And we have a Brainstorm in response to Life from the Loam, but there's not really a lot of good responses to the card. Those are our targets. Urza's Saga going to be coming back. Maybe a crop rotation for Bajuka Bog would slow things down. That's probably the best possible response here. Easily the best, I should say. A Force of Negation would have been nice if it could have been hard cast, but that actually exiles the Life from the Loam. And I think that was probably the biggest influence in lands kind of taking a back seat. Is Force of Negation is just devastating against a card that's normally, I mean, just about impossible to interact with favorably. Exiling Life from the Loam is night and day from just countering it. You don't ever really want to be Force of Willing the card. It's going to eventually come back, but Force of Negation is a different story altogether. Steven might be in very good shape here with a Sylvan. Is facing down some pressure from constructs. He'll have a bunch of... I mean, you probably just make another one now if you don't have anything better to do. Ice Fang Kodal goes up. Oh, nice play here. Yep. Punishing Fire kills the snake, and that is going to do it. So if there were no blocks, we would have been able to see another construct enter. Instead, even had to throw that potential trade. It wouldn't be a chump block. I mean, it'd be a trade. But instead, it's just too much damage too fast as lands wins. I guess I was wrong there. Usually it's Merit Lage at this point, getting the job done just with Urza's Saga. Very impressive, even with that Life from the Loam being exiled. Urza's Saga just putting in work. Whole bunch of lands. Never mull. I mean, it's pretty much where you want to be with the deck anyways. Like, you got a Life from the Loam with a Mox Diamond. I mean, this is absolutely fine. During the upkeep, porting down the island. Zasaga. It is back. The Mox Diamond. Time to check. See if there's a Force of Negation on the other side of the table. Life alone would be very strong here. Resolves during the upkeep. God and Port tapping down that blue. Brainstorm in response. A little bit of a decision which land to go after there. Brainstorm obviously feels a little bad for you when your opponent's able to use the mana. However, it is a suboptimal time to be using the Brainstorm. So there is that. Instead of shuffling away 2 cards, only 1 will be able to be shuffled back into the deck. Oh, an Endurance. Not bad. Not bad. So, oh, did he just draw another Life from the Loam? Like an absolute savage? Wasteland. Being used for the Rashadan Port. See some constructs starting to join into the fray. I'll tell you, having to pitch for Endurance instead of getting that body on board could end up being a big difference. Also lost the Ice Fang Coatl. That is significant. There's some real value there. Now we've got another trigger. This is going to be to search. You can respond by making yet another construct. Opting to keep the Mox Diamonds open. Walking away from this Rashadan Port. See what happens with this mana. Endurance of his own. Expedition map. No shortage of quality cards that Urza's Saga can find. Swinging with a 5/5. Now an Exploration. Field of the Dead. Mercifully not that many lands on board yet, but that is yet another angle of attack which could get really out of control. Passing the turn. A Brainstorm. Field of the Dead banned in Constructed, I think? Like Standard at one point? Force of Vigor. Taking out 2 constructs. Again, needing to pitch. Now Jace the Mind Sculptor into an empty board. This Field of the Dead could become a real problem, though. I don't know how you keep lands off of that many lands. Got a expedition map, which can help find additional ones. Mercifully, Jace and bounce Merit Lage. Plenty of potential chump blockers you can just throw as a speed bump. Jace is a strong card in this matchup historically. Just needs some help. Can't do it on his own. The combo can often be done at instant speed during the end step. Thespian stage. And a life from the loam. There is the Force of Negation, and I'll say there's been a lot of pitch spells here. It's taken its toll on Steven's hand. I believe he's totally hellbent at this point. See if Jace allows him to rebuild. A card for turn. Plus Jace. Jace able to bounce cards. Pull him back into the game. Bounce creatures, I should say. Now we've got another Force of Vigor. Taking out the Urz's Saga as it is an enchantment. Force of Vigor destroying 2 artifacts or enchantments. And or enchantments, I suppose. Oh, and Zendikar, or Valakut Awakening here. Sorry, I should say Valakut Exploration. Finds a crop rotation. Gets rid of a mostly useless wasteland. Oh, no, gonna go with Taiga. Perhaps because there's more Taigas left in the deck. Potential incoming 2020. Steven does not have a lot of cards to play with here. Got another landfall. I mean, so many landfalls. Oh, it was Grove of the Burn Willows was the trigger for Valakut. That was not another land from hand. Fair enough. Well, one problem at a time. Facing down a 2020. A draw engine on board that can rival Jace's ability to generate card advantage. At times, Valakut Exploration will outpace it as you get multiple landfall triggers in a turn. You're only going to use Jace once. Ponder. Game 1. Entirely Urza's Saga show. This time we might see the old Merit Lage finish. Got some floating mana and now a land for a prismatic ending. So that does get rid of the Valakut Exploration. Have an end step. Activation. Now Ancient Tomb allows for the 2020 to be made. Sending 1 mana, bluffs the swords for just a moment, but then extends the hand as lands grinds out a well-played match versus Bant.